Let's hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Pocket with Jo. It helps if I add myself to the stage. You guys, good morning. It's time for Bucket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV, on X, as well as on YouTube. Happy Saturday, everyone. We got a loaded day out there on the ice, and hopefully you made some freaking money out there on the ice last night. Still can't believe that the New York Rangers took that loss, going to overtime shootout with the Anaheim Ducks, losing that one. What the heck were they doing out there? We've got some great games, though, today, so let's jump straight into those. We had some good winners yesterday as well. Mo, good morning to you. Thanks for always being here with me. So we're going to kick it off today with the Buffalo Sabres. They're taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, we got the Buffalo Sabres coming in at minus 104, the Philadelphia Flyers at minus 115, and a total of 6.5. When you're looking at the total of 6.5, it's interesting to see that we're actually getting plus money to the over 6.5. Coming in at plus 110. The under is minus 134. So do they think the Flyers aren't going to score? Because we know the Buffalo Sabres are a team that has been scoring a left, right, and center as of late in some of these games. They've got a stronger power play than the Philadelphia Flyers. Neither team has a great one. The Flyers power play at 13.9%, right around that 17% here for the Buffalo Sabres. But both of these teams have the ability to light the lamp. We saw that after the Flyers fired their coach, Tortorella, in that right before that last game, and they came out just flying, getting the win. Michkov came out, almost had the hat trick. So I do think the Flyers bring that kind of momentum into this game. Looking at Buffalo, they've won their last 3. 7-3 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins in their last game out on Thursday. They just looked unstoppable. Tage Thompson was able to get a goal in the first 27 seconds of that game. So if you had the goal in the first 5 minutes, you're definitely laughing in that one. Was not a sweat at all. Now, when we look at Buffalo, they are at the Washington Capitals tomorrow, so this is the first night of a back-to-back. This team sitting 8th in the Atlantic. They will not be looking ahead to the Capitals in playing that game. They got the Flyers in front of them tonight, and that's where their attention is going to lay. Now, looking at Philadelphia, they have the Predators on a Monday and at Montreal next Saturday, sitting 8th in the Metro. The last time these teams matched up was back in November. We did see the Flyers get that 5-2 win. I'm going to look for this one for Tage Thompson to again step up, and also for both of these teams to come out hot out of the gate. Give me the over 1.5, but it's juicy at minus 142. I'll put a half a unit on that, and the other half on both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 150 right now on FanDuel. Both teams to score in the first period, again at plus 150. Now, if you look at the Sabres, they have won their last 4 games as a dog versus the Flyers. And right now, they're only a slight dog at that minus 104. This line has been floating back and forth all day, you guys. They were minus 110 just within an hour ago on both sides. So now minus 115 is money starting to come in on the Flyers. I'd look at Tage Thompson again for that anytime goal for the Buffalo Sabres. Now, Josh Norris is out of the lineup, undisclosed reasons for them, but looking at Tage Thompson, he was able to get 2 points in that last game. The goal came nice and quick and fast. I do think he's in for 2 points again tonight. I think defensively is where we're going to see lapses between these two teams, defensively and in goal. I'm expecting those goals to come in, and that's why I was shocked by that plus money. So Tage Thompson tonight for 2+ points coming in at plus 280. Rasmus Dahlin, always someone you want to look at here for the Sabres. 57 points, 13 goals, and 44 assists for him. Jason Zucker still has goal number 20 loading. So definitely someone, if you're looking for a goal scorer to make your card, 19 goals, 27 assists, and 46 points. I do think this one goes over that total. So give me the over. Give me Tage Thompson for 2+ points, and give me a hot start in this one with both teams to score and the over 1.5. Now, when we look at the Flyers, who has some goals loading? Owen Tippett still looking for goal number 20, 19 goals on the season, 18 assists for a total of 37 points. And then Michkov, he was so hot in that last game. People commenting he's allowed out of his cage. Now, he'd been benched a couple times under Tortorella, so Michkov coming out with such a solid performance in that last game. I won't be shocked if he gets point number 55 tonight, and if he can actually get point number 56 as well. So Michkov coming in here, 54 points, 22 goals, 32 assists. And then Konecki still has goal number 25 loading and point number 70. Definitely somewhere you want to look. Again, you guys, I think this is a 4-3 style win for the Buffalo Sabres in this matchup. So I would, or the Flyers, both teams could win. I'm not going to put my money on either side. I just do think the Sabres are a stronger team. And while we saw the Flyers step up with the coaches firing, and that can really come into play for a couple games after the firing. When I look at these teams overall, I think the Sabres are still a strong team. So I really don't want to step in front of them, but I don't want to step in front of the Flyers either. I just think it's that 4-3 style win. But Konecki here for goal number 25 and point number 70 definitely is loading today. Let's move on. Vinny, good morning to you as well. Let's move on to the New York Islanders versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, the Islanders are a $2 underdog here on the road at plus 205 right now. On that money line, Tampa is minus 250. So looking at the puck lines here, unless you like the Islanders, you can't grab Tampa at minus 250. So Tampa minus 1.5 is coming in at plus 100. You can also grab the Islanders at plus 1.5 at minus 122 because they're such a big underdog. This total sitting at 6.5. We know the Tampa Bay Lightning in their last game versus Utah flew over this total themselves, scoring 8 goals. Plus money to the over, 6.5 at plus 112, minus 138 to the under. Sorokin versus Andre Vasilevsky. I do think the best way to tackle this is just to look at the Tampa Bay Lightning on that puck line, laying a goal and a half. So laying the goal and a half on the puck line at plus 100. We're starting to lose value as money is coming in on this. They were plus 115 on that puck line earlier in the day. So definitely if you're liking it, jump now before you have to lay the juice. I won't lay juice. And if you're watching this video and you're seeing the Lightning at minus 1.5 at minus 120, don't hit on it. Wait till the game is going. It's better to miss a bet than to jump on a line where you're going to lay juice on the puck line. I can't do it unless I really do think a team's going to win by 3 or 4 points, and then I'm looking at that alt puck line even at that point. So I don't love laying the juice, you guys. So the Tampa Bay Lightning have won their last 2, like we were saying. They do have to play each other again on Tuesday in New York. But between that, we do have the Carolina Hurricanes on deck for the New York Islanders. They play the Canes tomorrow. It's the first night of back-to-back for the New York Islanders. They've lost their last 3. They want to get back in that win column. That last win or that last loss was to the Vancouver Canucks on Wednesday. They lost that 5-2, and they've gone 4-3-3 in their last 10 games. So definitely an Islanders team that wants to get back on track. But when we look at what they do and how they're going to play this one out, and I do think we sweat out the puck line here for the Tampa Bay Lightning, but we know coaching here of the Islanders will pull goaltending with 5 minutes left and give that opportunity for those empty netters for the Tampa Bay Lightning as the Isles try to tie it up. So it is a dangerous one here because I do think it's a lot tighter than what we've seen between, what Tampa's been able to do as of late, especially in that Utah game. But the last time they played, it was that 3-2 style game, and I could see it being very similar, but more of that 4-2 because of the empty netter here for Tampa. So the Isles won that last one. I do think you could look at the Tampa Bay Lightning if you don't want to look at the full game on that puck line. You can lay the half a goal in the first period here with the Tampa Bay Lightning. They have been strong as a favorite in that first period, winning their last 4 games in this situation. So I do think it's a great way to go. And I still think Tampa is just a stronger team. Kyle Palmieri, though, of the Islanders has been strong versus the Lightning for the Isles. So he's been able to score a goal in 4 of the last 5 games versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. So if you want a goal scorer here for the Isles, I would look at Palmieri. We know there's so many playmakers here for the Tampa Bay Lightning that we can look at for those anytime goals. And I do think it comes into play. Now, when you're looking at the value, though, it's hard to get value on Tampa players. I think we should look at the power play, but looking at Kucherov here, he's plus 130. For the goal, Braden Point plus 135 and Jake Gunsel coming in at plus 145. And that's what I mean. You're not getting that plus money. Like Kyle Palmieri to get a goal here for the Islanders is plus 250. And that's really the range I want to be betting in for these goal scorers, even though sometimes they do take them for less. But when we look at the power play points, Again, not as much value for Kucherov as that, like he's coming in at plus 130. But if we look at Brandon Point for the power play point, we know how strong he is. That's coming in at plus 200. And that's probably my favorite bet here for the power play point for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So let me know what you guys are doing with this game. And if you can hit that like, share, retweet button, I would so greatly appreciate it. Yeah, let's make some freaking money. That is for sure today. Sprinkle the juice on the vig. Let's go to the next game here. We're going to look at the St. Louis Blues versus the Colorado Avalanche. You guys, this has been a great run so far for the St. Louis Blues out of the break. They've won their last 8 games now. Binghamton's been very up and down versus the Avs. So can they continue this streak? Mackenzie Blackwood here versus the Blues. We got some interesting things to look at versus him. First, let's get to those odds over on FanDuel. The St. Louis Blues are a plus 164 underdog on the road. Again, they've won their last 8 games. Colorado coming off that shutout win versus the LA Kings. They were able to convert twice on that power play. So that was definitely a game the Kings shot themselves in the foot. It should have been a 2-0 game. They shouldn't have taken those penalties, but it was a 4-0 game with Colorado just dominating that one. Now they're a $2 favorite here at home versus the St. Louis Blues. The total is sitting at 5.5. The under at plus 102. The over at minus 124. This is going to come down to what these goaltenders can do in this matchup. And I do think the offenses probably have the win in this one. There's so much to play for, though, so it's going to be a tricky game. So like I said, Binghamton very up and down versus the Avs in his career. You just don't know what you're going to get of him versus the Colorado Avalanche, who we know they have those speeds. They can break out in transition and they can really push it in the offensive zone. And I do think we're going to see Binghamton struggle with the playmakers that we do have for Colorado. But how is Mackenzie Blackwood going to do? Mackenzie Blackwood has played 5 games versus the versus the St. Louis Blues in his career. Now, in those 5 games, he's had 2 shutouts. But in the other 3 games, you guys, he's allowed a total of 12 goals. So he's either freaking hot as ice out there. That's cold as ice, hot as whatever out there versus the Blues, or he's cold as ice. So it's going to be interesting to see what we see out of Mackenzie Blackwood in this one, especially with how the St. Louis Blues offense is playing. I'm expecting these offenses to have a day over the goaltending. I do think we should see both come out strong. Now, Colorado's won their last 4 as well. We know they've got the playmakers. We know how strong this power play is, converting at 25.7%. The kill isn't great here for the Blues, and while they've done better as of late, they have to stay out of the freaking box if they want any chance of getting this win versus Colorado today. So looking at the look-ahead schedule, I always try to find, like, if there's an angle, if there's something that we should think this team has circled. Colorado will face the Flames on Monday. Then they head out onto the road on Wednesday and Thursday. They have back-to-back Chicago and the Columbus Blue Jackets. And then they'll face the Blues again on Saturday in St. Louis. So these teams play a week from now. Now, when we're looking at the St. Louis Blues, again, like they won their last 8, they beat the Predators on Thursday. That was a tight game, 3-2. They have to play better hockey if they want to beat Colorado in Colorado. They have the Red Wings at home on Tuesday, and then the Pittsburgh Penguins on Thursday, and then again the Avs on Saturday. So this is going to be interesting. We have the Avs 3rd in the Central. Now, they are not locked into a playoff spot, but it would take this team just falling completely apart for them not to make the playoffs. They are sitting 5 points behind the Dallas Stars for that 2nd spot in the Central, which would guarantee them home ice. That is so important for Colorado to get that home ice. They're 25-10-2 at home on the season, and you know that they are playing for that spot. So they want to take over that 2nd spot in the Central over the Dallas Stars. Every single point is crucial out here for them. And I do think Dallas takes a loss today. So if Colorado can get the win, this is huge for them. But you look at the St. Louis Blues, they are 5th in the Central, 85 points in 74 games. They currently going into today are holding that last wild card spot in the West. They're 2 points behind the Wild for the first wild card spot in that West. And then they have the Calgary Flames, the Vancouver Canucks fighting to take that last wild card spot. So what we're going to see out of the Blues, they hold their own destiny in their hands. if they have a game go to overtime or they don't, yeah. So they need to win every single game in regulation to guarantee themselves that wild card spot. They don't win every game in regulation, and even if they get a win in overtime, they're not guaranteeing themselves the win or the playoff spot. So they are going to come out so feisty. Now, do I realistically think that they can win every single game remaining? They've got 8 games remaining, including today's game. I don't think it's possible. That would be a 16-game win streak. It is possible, but it's very unlikely here. So the Blues have to play their best because otherwise they're leaving it in the hands of these other teams that are right behind them. They're hoping that they lose. So we're going to have to see the best game out of the St. Louis Blues, out of Jordan Binnington. I do expect them to be able to score today on Colorado. I'll take the Blues team total over 2.5 goals. It's coming in at -102. I'm hoping for Mackenzie Blackwood to have that off game versus the St. Louis Blues, and it's not asking too much for this team to put up 3 goals. They've scored 3 or more goals in each of their last 9 games, so they've been hot offensively. Robert Thomas still got goal number 20 loading here, 19 goals, 47 assists, and 66 points. Now, Holloway has been strong. He's been getting those goals in the last couple. So Holloway, another player you want to look at, 26 goals, 36 assists for a total of 63 points. Jake Neighbors still has goal number 20 loading as well, 19 goals, 23 assists, and 42 points. And then, I love to bet on Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas parlayed together. So Kyrou has 63 points, 31 goals, and 31 assists. Now, when I look at Colorado, this is all going to be about the power play for me for Colorado. I know they have the playmakers, but when you look at the juice, you're going to have to lay on their points. It's just not worth it, except for Nathan MacKinnon. I think Nathan MacKinnon is worth looking at for goal number 30 tonight. 29 goals and 79 assists for 108 points. Nathan MacKinnon just playing phenomenal hockey on the season. So I'd look at Nathan MacKinnon for the goal number 30. That's only at +130 though, you guys. And interesting to see the books are not giving us a power play point for Nathan MacKinnon. But Cale Makar, you can look at, he has every ability to get a goal tonight. It's coming in at +310. Valery Nichushkin for goal number 20 is +155. But again, if you look at those power play points, Nichushkin is +155 for the power play point as well. And Cale Makar +185 for the power play point. I'd rather take a chance on the power play point because I don't trust the kill here for the St. Louis Blues. So it's going to be good. Flames, Wild, and Stars. I think the Flames can get the win. I think the Wild probably get the win. I think the Stars take the loss. But I do think it's a solid way to go. The Dallas Stars are the better team, but they've done the Alberta double-double and now headed to Seattle. So, Larry, good morning. You should do it. Larry, you always crack me up. Thank you so much for making me laugh on the daily. So if you guys don't know, that is a joke from someone just saying on this show that I'm just eye candy and there's a guy in my ear. So yeah, that little guy that's in my ear, well, I'm glad I can talk as fast as him. So good morning. Let's get these first periods. I agree. I love betting the first periods. We got baseball back in full swing, and I love the Yurfie and Nerfy too. Instant gratification is what it's all about sometimes for me in sports betting. I don't know about you guys. I like to get into the games, out of the games, and have my money back so that I can get back into other ones. So let's look at the New Jersey Devils versus the Minnesota Wild. The New Jersey Devils didn't start Jacob Markstrom last night and still took the loss. They started Jake Allen in that game, and Jake Allen, poor performance. We'll get into his numbers and what he did, but let's go over the odds first. We're seeing the New Jersey Devils a -105 underdog on the road. And now these lines have moved drastically, you guys. The Minnesota Wild were like a -140 I saw last night. Favorite coming into this game. They're now -114 as money does come in. We got a total of 5.5, -140 to the under 5.5 and +112 to the over. Now, Jacob Markstrom should get the start here because Jake Allen played last night. Now, Jake Allen last night, he allowed what? 4 goals on 19 shots. Like, it was crazy. Yeah. 4 goals. He only saved 15 of 19. That's what it was. It was just such a poor performance out of Jake Allen last night. I was shocked because the defense of the Devils really did limit the Jets on their ability to get those shots. Now, looking here at Jacob Markstrom, he has very solid numbers versus the Minnesota Wild. was a smart move to save him for this one. He's gone 7-3-2 in his career versus the Minnesota Wild with a .925 save percentage and a 2.24 goals against average. Now, on the other side, I do think we're going to see Marc-Andre Fleury, not Gustafsson. Marc-Andre Fleury, of course, this is his last season of playing, and I do think he's going to come out nice and solid. Now, looking at Jacob Markstrom and looking at how he has played versus the Wild, I told you those numbers, but we saw him in the last two. So the last two games he faced the Wild, he was playing in Calgary. Very similar defense with the shots that he would allow for the Calgary Flames in those seasons as the Devils are in this. So I'm not too concerned about the support from the defense. In 2024, he stopped 28 of 29. And then in 2023, it was like late in the season, he did a stop. He had the shutout. He's stopping all 40 shots on his goal. So I do think Jacob Markstrom has a big game here. Jacob Markstrom was rolling so hot at one point, and then he went cold. And I think this is a hot game for him. So I'm going to look at this game under the 5.5. Again, the juice is -138. Again, I know the playmakers on both sides. And the last time these teams matched up, we saw that big 5-3 win, but I just can't trust the Devils on the second night of a back-to-back for their offense to be really clicking. We know Jack Hughes is out for the rest of the season, and that was such a hard thing to watch him collide when he collided with Jack Eichel, the Vegas Golden Knights, in that game a couple weeks ago, and then put his shoulder out. So I do think this is going to be a hard one for both of these teams to get those goals on the board, and we stay under the 5.5. Would I alt it to under 4.5 to get plus money? I'm nervous about that because I could see a 3-2 win because of OT. I think it's that tight of a battle. Now, I do think there's players you can still look at here for those player points. Ryan Hartman has played excellent for the Wild versus the Devils. So I think Ryan Hartman would be your goal scorer or Matt Boldy. Matt Boldy for the goal is +190. Now he has, in the last 5 games, he's got 6 points, 3 goals, and 3 assists. So I would probably, instead of taking either for the goal, I would look at Ryan Hartman and Matt Boldy, just parlay them for the point. On the other side, especially because I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, you'll get plus money. And then looking at the other side, Jasper Bratt and Nico Hischier, I do like to come out strong for the Devils. Now, the Devils got shut out in that last one by the Jets. But before that, Nico Hischier was just rolling so hot in his last 8 games. He was on a point streak before that Jets game with 10 points, 4 goals, and 6 assists. So Nico Hischier was a play for us in that last game, and that streak got broken, and I think he gets back at it tonight. So I look at Jasper Bratt, Nico Hischier for a point together. That's coming in at +110. If you want to throw Timo Meier in there, I do think he's impactful as well today. Okay, let's look at the Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah, Fleury to go into net tonight. I love what we see out of Marc-Andre Fleury this year. Yeah, Hall, that was funny when he said I had a guy in my ear because I was like reading it as you guys saw it as well, and it kind of like took me a minute to understand what he was meaning. It'd be funny. Yeah, I do think Macaroni. We can look at the first period under 1.5 here. It's sometimes these first periods are hard to cash, especially when you look at the New Jersey Devils and they're coming off a game where they got shut out. They're going to be so hungry to get on the board, but I do think Marc-Andre Fleury can do enough and go that we can see this one go under in that first period. Like I said, Jacob Markstrom, I do have faith in. I won't be shocked if we go 0-0 into the second period. So I do like the first period under 1.5. Let's look at the Vegas Golden Knights and the Nashville Predators. The Vegas Golden Knights coming in here at -152 on the money line, +126 here for the Nashville Predators, and a total of 5.5. -130 to the over 5.5 and +108 to the under. Now, when we look at the Vegas Golden Knights, of course, they're too juicy at -152 on the money line. Why aren't they a bit bigger of a favorite, though, you guys? Those kind of lines do scare me. Now, -1.5 here for the Vegas Golden Knights at +154 on that puck line. Of course, the Predators are unbettable at that puck line price at +1.5 at -192. I wouldn't even throw it into a parlay. The Preds do have a chance of winning. They've covered the puck line as an underdog in their last 5 versus the Pacific Division. And Vegas is an interesting game here because of who they have on deck. And you guys know I'm very situational in my betting. Vegas rolling in here, winning their last 5. They beat Chicago last night. So they're on the second night of back-to-back. 5-3 game versus the Chicago Blackhawks. In a game, and I look at those big favorites yesterday. I thought either Montreal or Chicago could get the win. Both of them took the loss, and the opponent covered that puck line. So I do think we're going to see more cases where these underdogs are barking. I was shocked that neither was barking on our Freaky Friday yesterday. But looking at Vegas, sitting first in the Pacific, second night of a back-to-back, look at who is on deck and look at the opponents in the Pacific that they have on deck. So they're versus the Oilers at home on Tuesday. So that is a battle of the Pacific. And then they have the Jets on Thursday. So those are two really hard games. They've got the Preds today and two hard games on deck. And then they have the Flames, another battle in the Pacific. All of these teams in the Pacific would love to see the Flames not in it, right? Or Vancouver not in it. So they face the Flames and Vancouver next week. So I really do look at the look ahead situation. I think this is a nice spot to look at the Predators, but only if Vegas goes out first. What I want you guys is to see Vegas go up first in that first period. I do think we could get off to a hot start by Vegas scoring a goal. Now, Saros has really solid numbers versus Vegas, but we know he's been prone to giving up an early one before we've seen him locked down. So if I'm not going to take Vegas first period, and I'm not going to take anything in the first period, but if we see Vegas go up by a goal, I want to come back in on the Nashville Predators plus 1.5 at better value. I want to see the plus 1.5, plus 120, so I can hit on it. So this is a live betting situation for me. But Saros versus the Vegas Golden Knights has 3.11 goals against average and a .918 save percentage. So he does have solid numbers. I think this one stays under the total of 5.5. That will be my bet going into this, under 5.5 at plus 108. So that will coincide with a tighter game on that puck line. I think this is a 3-2 style win by either of these teams. And like I said, the Preds have been able to cover that puck line in the last 5 versus the Pacific. I do think we have an interesting look here on Jonathan Marchessault versus a team that he played for 7 seasons now. He has goal number 20 loading. I'm going to take him for the goal tonight. He has also point number 50. So if you want to look at him and then parlay him with another person for their points, I would look at Ryan O'Reilly for his point tonight on the Vegas Golden Knights. He's been able to score at home versus the Vegas Golden Knights. At least 1 goal in the last 4 appearances at home for him versus Vegas. So Ryan O'Reilly and Jonathan Marchessault parlayed together for a point will get you that plus money. And then I'll take Jonathan Marchessault for the goal outside of that for goal number 20. His goal tonight coming in at plus 280, his point at plus 100. And again, I'm taking the under 5.5. Let's look at the Columbus Blue Jackets versus the Ottawa Senators. Let's make some freaking money. It's a great plan for the day. You guys remember I am on the grid today. Now, I am on the grid from 3 o'clock Eastern to 6 p.m. Eastern with Scott Wetzel. I'm also guesting with Joe Ranieri and Tom Vecchio at 2:30 Eastern. So on the grid all afternoon. Stay tuned for my Cup of Joe and those madness picks as well. You make sure you get those with me. So stay tuned to that. The Columbus Blue Jackets versus the Ottawa Senators. I think we got a fantastic matchup here. Columbus is rolling in at a plus 164 dog here. Minus 200 for the Ottawa Senators, total 6.5. Minus 138 to the under, plus 112 to the over. Tarasov is expected in net for the Columbus Blue Jackets, who has terrible numbers, 7-8-2 on the season with a 3.52 goals against average and an 882 save percentage. All mark expected here for the Ottawa Senators. Now, this is the first night of a back-to-back for the Senators. They have the Pittsburgh Penguins on deck tomorrow. They're off the win versus the Red Wings on the road. That was a tough game, 4-3. They had to dig deep to get that win, and we've seen Columbus win their last 2. Second night of a back-to-back. They're coming off that shutout win. Oh, my God. It was beautiful to see Vancouver take the loss. Columbus won that 7-6. Now, little surprised, Monahan didn't get 2 points with those 7 goals coming in for the Columbus Blue Jackets, but he was able to get a point. I do think this one, both of these teams just battling it out for the wild card race in the Eastern Conference. We're going to see those goals tonight. I really do think Ottawa will be able to score on Tarasov, and then we're going to have to see the Columbus Blue Jackets answer back if they have a chance of getting things done. Now, this is the first matchup of the season between these two. The last time these teams played was March of last year, where we did see Ottawa get that 3-2 win. I think this is a 3-4 5-4 style game. I think we're going to get a ton of goals in this one. The Columbus Blue Jackets have a total of 2.5 for their goals. I'm going to take it to the over at -116. But I also like the Ottawa Senators team total over 3.5. It's -108. So if you just want to jump on the over, I think it's a great way to go. I think this is your first period over 1.5 goals. That's coming in at -134. And both teams to score at +156. I expect the momentum to come out for Columbus in this game off the game last night that they were able to get the shootout win versus Vancouver. It was a 7-6 game, you guys. They are sitting in that second wildcard spot with 75 points in 71 games, sitting fourth in the Metro. They can't afford to take a loss because right behind them is Montreal, the New York Rangers, and the New York Islanders for that last wildcard spot. Now, we are seeing the Ottawa Senators sitting in the first wildcard spot, fourth in the Atlantic, with 81 points in 71 games. So they do have 6 points on the Columbus Blue Jackets, but they're still not comfortable, right? Like they're not locked into that wildcard spot. So look for a game out of both of these teams. Now, when we're looking at this game, overtime, hell yeah, sign me up to overtime. It's +350. So I'm going to take the overtime. I think Fantilli and Monahan are your playmakers there for Columbus that you want to look at, and Machenko. And then when we look at the Ottawa Senators, it's got to be Batherson, Struzal, and Brady Tkachuk. Brady Tkachuk has goal number 30 loading tonight, you guys. You know I love these players to hit those targets. Goal number 30 is only +140, though. I kind of want to wait, but I'm not going to wait. I'm going to put my money on him to get that goal. I could see it coming hard and fast, but I think if you do wait, you're going to get better value. But at +140, it's still worth it. 55 points, 29 goals, and 26 assists. Batherson, I think he has the ability of getting 2 points in this game. He's sitting there at 58, so 2 points would put him at 60, 20 goals and 38 assists. Tim Struzal rolling in here with 71 points, 21 goals and 50 assists. And David Perrin has scored a goal in each of the Senators' last 3 games, so definitely your playmaker here if you're looking for a player to continue with some momentum. You guys, we've got a ton of games on the board. Let's make some freaking money. Yeah, it's maddening when your team scores a bunch of goals and neither of the person you bet on. I know, Larry, it's just so frustrating out there, and it just seems to happen so many times. And when we're getting a goal score at +140, it's like you're already not getting the best of your value. When you're getting over 2-1 to your money, it's completely understandable if you miss out on that opportunity, but you got a player at +140. It's just so frustrating. Let's look at the Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the LA Kings. Now, can Toronto roll in here and take advantage of a Kings team that's coming off a loss versus Colorado, losing that one, being shut out now at home? This is going to be a hard spot for Toronto to get the win, but I do think they probably are alive. Right now, the Toronto Maple Leafs are a +122 dog here on the road. The LA Kings are a -146 favorite. Total of 5.5. Interesting that we've got a -110 on either side of that 5.5. I do think we're going to get a really solid game out of both of these teams. I'm expecting a couple more goals than I think a lot of people are. That 5.5, I would lean towards the over, but I'm going to isolate the Leafs team total. Darcy Kemper versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, the numbers are not good. A 3.15 goals against average and an .882 save percentage, going 3-4 in 9 career games versus the Leafs. I think the Leafs are going to hit him. The last time these teams played was back in October. It was a 6-2 win for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They've won 3 of their last 5 meetings in LA as well. And in that last game, Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews, they collected a total of like 3 points. I believe it was 3 points each. They were just flying on that top line. And I'm looking for that top line to come out and play that way. You have Knives, Matthews, and Marner on that top line. McCann, Travaris, and Nylander on that second line based on today's morning skate. And I do think at the top line, the second line, both lines are going to produce. So over 2.5 goals here for the Toronto Maple Leafs is -120. I do think you can look at the Leafs straight up on the money line at +122. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow because you got an LA Kings team coming off a loss there on the road. On the road, they are below 500, and on home ice, they have been stronger, you guys, going 26, 3-4. Really hard team to fade at home. But I do think it's just Kempe's numbers versus the Leafs. I think the Leafs will score. So I think your best bet is the Leafs team total over 2.5, -120. If you're searching for plus money, I do think we could see the Leafs on the money line. But if they're winning on the money line, I think they cover the reverse puck line. I'd lay the 1.5 for even more plus money if you want to put a sprinkle over sprinkling that money line. So that is where I'd go. You're looking at a top line here for the Kings of Kuzmenko, Kopitar, and Kempe. So you guys know I love looking at Kempe and Kopitar. But Quinton Byfield has been really strong for the Kings at home. He's scored in 7 of the last 8 home games. So looking at Byfield as well. It's gonna be a good game between these two. Let's move on to the Boston Bruins taking on the Detroit Red Wings. Dabby Cab, you know March Madness is here. How can we not look at Walter Clayton there for his threes? Tyrese Proctor, oh, please. I really hope Tyrese, you look at Tyrese Proctor in that last game, he wasn't able to sink those threes. I was riding with him the game before. Couldn't freaking miss. Let's go big on Tyrese Proctor. You guys, Dabby Cab, definitely check him out. You don't want to miss any of his shows over on Pub Sports Radio. Comes and guests with me so much on the grid. Let's make some money, Dabby Cab, today. Yeah, Trevor Moore has been solid for the Kings as well. Guys, I'm so excited for today's slate. It's going to be a good one. The Boston Bruins, there's so many games between the hardwood and the ice and the diamonds. It's a freaking great time of year. The Boston Bruins versus the Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings need this win, and I do think they dig deep, but the books think so too. -205 on that money line. The Boston Bruins, who thought, like at the start of the season, we get the Bruins rolling into Detroit at +168. This team is on a free fall, though, and I don't know if I can back them. Total of 6.5 -140 to the under and +114 to the over. Swayman versus Talbot. Now, I do think both of these teams are losing, right? You look at the Boston Bruins, lost their last 7. They lost Wednesday to the Ducks, embarrassing. 6-2 loss to the Anaheim Ducks. And then we have the Red Wings. They're off that tight battle versus the Sens in their last game on Thursday. They're at the Blues on Tuesday. They're sitting 6th in the Atlantic, 72 points in 73 games. So, no, 72 and 72. They are 3 points behind the Columbus Blue Jackets for the last wild card spot. But it's not that easy. It's not like they just have to beat the Columbus Blue Jackets with points. They have the Rangers, the Islanders, and Montreal in between them as well. So such a battle for that last wild card spot. And I do think the Red Wings have to get back on track. The last time these teams matched up, it was the Bruins getting that 3-2 win. And you know the Boston Bruins, they're battling it in the Atlantic, right? They're 7th in the Atlantic. 69 points, 73 points. It's just a matter of time before this team is eliminated, especially with losing their last 7. But they love to play spoiler, right? The Bruins will try to get the win here. They have something to play for. They want to knock the Red Wings out and be eliminated from playoff contention, especially because they're going to be any second. So it's going to be a battle. I do think the Red Wings win it. I do think they end up putting up 4 goals on the Bruins. Could we see the Bruins win it and get 5 goals? We could if Cam Talbot doesn't have a solid day. But I'm more likely, for me, it's a 4-3 style win for the Red Wings, which doesn't allow us to bet the puck line because I don't think they win it easy by multiple goals. So I would look at the team total of the Red Wings over 3.5 at -108. I'd look at David Pastrnak to come out strong for the Bruins, Morgan Geekie to come out strong for the Bruins as well. But then on the other side for the Red Wings, that's where I want to lay my money. I would look at Lucas Raymond on that power play. I'd look at Lucas Raymond for the power play point or the anytime goal. I think he comes out nice and strong in this one, as well as DeBrincat. So I think it's a good game for the Red Wings. I think they're able to get things done. You're going to roll, Alvin, with the under between the Boston Bruins and the Detroit Red Wings. We'll see what Cam Talbot's able to do. I do think that they could have this one over a 4-2 game with that 6.5, just missing going over that total. So the under 6.5, the juice just went to -140, you guys. The books are expecting that lower scoring game too. I do expect 4 out of the Red Wings, though. Let's move on to the Calgary Flames versus the Edmonton Oilers. Battle in the Pacific. These are epic battles of Alberta, you guys. I wish I was driving up to Edmonton to go to the game, but then I look outside and see all the snow falling and know that highway would be just awful today. So Dustin Wolf expected, and Calvin Pickett will be playing again here for Edmonton with Stuart Skinner out with injury right now. He did take a stick to the back of the head, so dealing, I believe, with concussion protocol. Not positive, don't quote me on that, but that is what I am believing the reason he is out. We're still seeing Connor McDavid out of this lineup, and we're seeing Leon Draisaitl still out of this lineup for Edmonton. They went into Seattle, took a huge loss. They're going to want to spoil Calgary's hopes here. The rivalry and the hate between these two is second to none. We're going to see that hard-hitting, very physical game in which we're going to see those penalties. Because of those penalties, we will see those power play opportunities. I like what Calgary's been able to do as of late on the power play. They're off that loss to Dallas, where they had every ability to capitalize on Dallas off the game versus Edmonton, and they just didn't. They didn't capitalize on the scheduling spot. They got into a tight game, and then they allowed Dallas to pull away. That shift of momentum when those goals kept being taken back from the Calgary Flames, sometimes that's all you need is a shift in momentum for one team to really take that momentum and run with it. And that's what we saw in that last game for Calgary, their first two goals being taken off the board. You could see, even when they got that third goal, that sinking feeling. And if those goals hadn't been taken back, goaltending interference there. And I tell you, the first one, yeah, the second one, heck no. So it was like we were playing in Dallas for the Calgary Flames, but I'm looking for Calgary to score on Calvin Pickett. Long story short, I'll take Calgary's team total over 2.5 goals at -134. Nazem Kadri has been so freaking hot out there on the ice, scoring at least one goal in the Calgary Flames last 5. I look at Nazem Kadri and Huberdeau again parlayed together for their points, and look at Kadri for the goal. I think we see Edmonton struggle again. So they are off the win or the loss versus Seattle 6-1. I'm looking at their look ahead. They want to beat Calgary and they want to beat them bad, but they've also got Vegas on deck on Tuesday, the Sharks on Thursday, and the Kings on Saturday. So they've got 3 opponents in the Pacific, 4 in a row in the Pacific. So this is kind of a hard stretch for them with McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and now Skinner out of this lineup. It's going to be a hard one with Calvin Pickett for them to stop Calgary. So the only win, yeah, Alvin, I would look at Calgary plus the 1.5 as well. As soon as you're getting that value plus 1.5, if we see Edmonton score first, if Corey Perry comes out, Zach Hyman comes out, gets a quick goal on the board, come back in on Calgary plus the 1.5. Calgary actually has been so solid at getting comeback wins. So if you look at Calgary going down by a couple, Edmonton, we know, has struggled to hold their leads as well. So live betting situation for that. Again, I'll be live on the grid. Actually, I won't for this one. This is a 10-10 Eastern matchup between these two. I'll be live on my couch, and I will tweet that if I'm going to be jumping in on Calgary. It's going to depend on the play too. You guys got to be watching those games and seeing how they're unfolding, just not watching that score on your phone, because if Edmonton's forecheck is all over Calgary and they're not able to get any room out there on the ice, you know Edmonton's going to keep continuing to light that lamp. The New York Rangers versus the San Jose Sharks. Jonathan Quick versus Georgiev. Now, like I said at the start of the show, super disappointed in the Rangers with what we saw out of them last night versus the Anaheim Ducks, going to overtime and then still taking the loss. It didn't matter either way because I had the Rangers in reg. They were a big favorite coming into that. And it was the Ducks that were the dog last night on that Freaky Friday. Now the Rangers will face the Wild on their next game on Wednesday. They're sitting 5th in the Metro, 75 points in 73 games. They won the last matchup versus the Sharks 3-2. Now the Sharks are coming in here hot. Like, how freaking hot are the Sharks right now? Celebrini, Tyler Toffoli, they've been stepping up. They won the last 2. They beat the Toronto Maple Leafs in a shootout, you guys, 6-5. I never would have expected them to win that in the shootout. I expected as soon as it went to overtime, Toronto to probably get the win. And then when it went to shootout, I was like, wow. For the Sharks to get the win in that situation was beautiful. They're sitting 8th in the Pacific. So this team has been eliminated. We talked about that game versus Toronto. We took the Sharks because that is a classic letdown spot for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, is it a letdown spot here for the New York Rangers? They've lost their last 2. So this team has to freaking dig deep. The Sharks have the Kings on deck tomorrow, but they don't care. They're not looking ahead to that. Any game that's in front of them is the game they're concentrating on. I think the Sharks on the money line is the right way to go for a sprinkle in this, but I could see the Rangers getting up first. So the Sharks on the money line right now are plus 140. Interesting line movement in this one. Minus 170 now for the Rangers. When I was looking earlier today, we were seeing on the Rangers at minus 200. So they were a $2 favorite. You guys, we're starting to see money coming in for the San Jose Sharks. I think the Sharks at plus 140, it's not worth your bet, even though I think they get the win. I would like to see the Rangers go up in the first period. Live bet in on the Sharks. I'm going to take the Rangers first period puck line, laying a half a goal. It's coming in at plus 142. And then I think it's a fast start, like a 2-1. So you can look at the first period over 1.5, both teams to score. I think all cash, because I think the Rangers put up 2, the Sharks put up 1 with their momentum. And then we see the Sharks get back into it. And then at that situation, I want to come back in on the Sharks when they're plus 180 on that money line, not just plus 140. So another live betting game. But when you look at the trends are totally against what I'm hoping happens in this game. The under's gone 7-1 in the last 8 meetings. The Rangers are 5-1 in the last 6 in San Jose, and the Rangers are 10-2 in the last 12. I just think the Rangers are stepping in their own way at the moment, and I think on the second night of a back-to-back, their confidence is down right now, and the confidence of the San Jose Sharks is up. Last but not least, you guys, good morning to you too. You are so welcome. Let's make some freaking money this weekend for sure. Alvin going with the Rangers and the Sharks under 6. The trends are definitely with you for sure. The Dallas Stars versus the Seattle Kraken. Dallas has been rolling hot on this road trip, but I think it could come to an end today. Maybe. I'm not willing to bet it. I can't step in front of the Dallas Stars, but I do think the Seattle Kraken, if they win, it's like a 2-1 style game here. We're looking at the Seattle Kraken at plus 125 on the money line. Again, not enough value to bet them as a dog, even at home. For myself, if I was getting Seattle to plus 180 mark, I would think it's worth hitting them to pull off the upset. But it's all about the number I'm getting as well for me. We're getting a minus 150 here for the Dallas Stars. Total 5.5. Plus 110 to the under. I'm going to look at Seattle's team total under 2.5. You guys know that's a favorite bet for me with the Seattle Kraken. I just want to see what we're getting here. It's plus 104 to the under 2.5. We know they have been scoring some goals as of late, but I think here on Jake Ottinger, it's going to be hard to be able to get those goals on the board. Now, if you're looking at a playmaker here for the Seattle Kraken to get those goals, it would be Jordan Schwartz. He's come out nice and strong for the Kraken, getting at least 1 goal in the last 3, but I think this is a lower scoring game. Brandon Montour, another player you want to look at to step up here for the Seattle Kraken. But I'm just not loving the prices. I'm not loving Dallas at the end of a road trip after doing the Alberta double-double to come in and get the win. Again, I think no matter what happens, we see Seattle go under 2.5 goals, and then Dallas 4-2 win. Absolutely have the ability to do so. But if we see Joey Decord stand on his head, which could be unlikely in this one, we could still see Seattle win 2-1. So I'm just going to take Seattle's team total under 2.5 and stay off the total and the side in this one. And we'll just see what we get out of Dallas, how tired those legs are out there for them. Remember, Seattle is coming in with confidence after just beating Edmonton, but that six goals is not coming for this team on Jake Ottinger in this matchup. So you guys, it is time to jump into that recap. Alvin, you like the minus 150. Yeah, it's all about juice tolerance, right? Like where you're willing to lay your juice. For myself, I'm not willing to do it, but if that is within your range, definitely go in for it. It's not a minus 180, so it's still minus 150. And the juice has actually dropped on this one. Okay. Time for the recap. You guys, remember, I am live on the grid, 2:30 Eastern, guesting with Joe Ranieri and Tom Vecchio. And then from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern with Scott Wetzel, we will be going over all of these games live on In-Game Live, as well as some look-ahead situations for, of course, the madness tonight and everything happening between the hardwood, the diamonds, and the ice. So make sure you do join us over there. We're going to have some great guests. Like I said, Dabby Cab comes on a lot, so I'm hoping producers have reached out to him. We'll see what we're doing on the show today, but make sure you do join me. Of course, we will look at those players after the recap as well. So let's jump into it. You guys, stay tuned for my Cup of Joe. You don't want to miss out. We'll be talking the madness in that one. First and foremost, the Buffalo Sabres versus the Philadelphia Flyers. Let's look for this one to start hot. Both teams to score in the first period at plus 150 for half a unit and the over 1.5 at minus 142. I will look at Tage Thompson here for his points tonight, 2+ points at plus 280. The over 6.5, I do think, is in play in this game, and you're going to get plus money to that as well. The New York Islanders versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Isles coaching pulls their goaltenders to try to tie games up. That will lead to the empty netter. It's going to be a sweat, but I do think Tampa covers that puck line. Lay the 1.5 on the puck line for plus money with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I also think that they win the first period. I'd lay a half a goal in the first period on that puck line with the Tampa Bay Lightning as well. The St. Louis Blues and the Colorado Avalanche. This is going to come down to goaltending being able to perform solid. Now, we have seen Mackenzie Blackwood have 2 shutouts versus the St. Louis Blues in his career, but in the other 3 games, he's allowed a total of 12 goals. I do think the Blues, with how hot they've been playing, will be able to score on Mackenzie Blackwood. Give me the Blues team total over 2.5 goals at minus 102. I do think there's a lot of playmakers you can look at here for the Blues and the Avs. The Avs playmakers, look at the power play points. You're going to get a little bit more value on the power play points with Cale Makar and Nichushkin. I would, though, look at Nathan MacKinnon for goal number 30. When we look at the Blues, Robert Thomas for goal number 20 is in play. Kyrou and Robert Thomas, you know I love to parlay for their points, and Holloway has been so strong as of late, and Jake Neighbors for goal number 20. Your playmakers there. When we look at the New Jersey Devils versus the Minnesota Wild, I do think this is your under game of the day. Under 5.5, it's juicy at minus 140. I do think you could probably get away with the alt under 4.5, but you risk that 3-2 situation, which could be in play today. I think Nico Hischier for a point tonight, parlayed with Jasper Bratt, is your play for the New Jersey Devils side of things. And then Matt Boldy and Ryan Hartman for a point for the Minnesota Wild. The Vegas Golden Knights and the Nashville Predators. I think the Predators are alive in this game, but I want to bet them only if Vegas goes up first. I'm not getting enough value on that puck line for the Nashville Predators right now, but if we see Vegas go up first, I want to get the Nashville Predators plus 1.5 at plus money. If I'm able to get that at some point in this game, I will be coming in on that. For the Nashville Predators pregame, though, give me the under 5.5 coming in at plus 108. I'll also look at Jonathan Marchessault versus a team he played for 7 seasons against at plus 280 for the goal, plus 100 for the point. The point parlayed with Ryan O'Reilly will get you great plus money. Ryan O'Reilly has been fantastic at home versus the Vegas Golden Knights. The Columbus Blue Jackets versus the Ottawa Senators. Give me overtime, baby. That coming in at plus 350. This is going to be an awesome matchup, if you like goals, in my opinion, between these two teams fighting it out for that last wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. Right now, we do see the Columbus Blue Jackets in the second wild card spot. First wild card spot for the Ottawa Senators. This is going to be a battle. Give me the over 2.5 goals for Columbus, the over 3.5 goals for the Ottawa Senators. I think this one gets over the total. Brady Tkachuk for goal number 30. And we're also going to look at the first period over 1.5, both teams to score at plus 156. I think Batherson, Tim Struzal, and David Perrin also in play for the Ottawa Senators. Monahan in play, and Fantilli and in play for Columbus. Toronto versus the LA Kings. Not many times I say I like the Toronto Maple Leafs. You guys know that. But I do think with how they played the Kings in the last matchup, they should roll in strong. The Kings just didn't look good at all versus the Colorado Avalanche. They took too many penalties. And if you give the Maple Leafs the opportunities on the power play, they will convert. You look at the last time they played, Toronto got that 6-2 win. I do think you look at Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews for their points parlayed together. I think that top line is going to dominate. I'll take the Leafs plus 122 for a sprinkle on the money line. Nah, let's just skip that money line. I'll take them all puck line laying 1.5 for that sprinkle. The main bet being the over 2.5 goals. I expect at least 3 goals out of the Leafs, that coming in at minus 120. On the other side for the Kings, you guys know I have so much love for this team and not a lot of love for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So if I think the Leafs are winning, I really do think the Kings are going to struggle. But it's Kempe and Kopitar for those points. And then Quinton Byfield as well. He's been playing nice and strong at home, so I would look at him. The Boston Bruins and the Detroit Red Wings. I think the Red Wings get it done. I'm just not getting the value here. I think it's 4-3. So I can't take them puck line. I'm going to take the Red Wings team total over 3.5 goals at -108. Lucas Raymond, I love here on the power play for the Red Wings to be able to convert. When you're looking at Boston, Pasternak and Geekie are your playmakers that I would look for their points parlayed together. The Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers. I'm going to take Calgary with the plus money on the money line. I think with the injuries to Edmonton, they will get the win today. You've got Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and their main goaltender Skinner out. Calvin Pickett did play that last game in Seattle, and I think he is in for another hard night here, especially with how Kadri and Huberdeau. Zary is out of the lineup here for Calgary, so that was a knee injury in that last game. Wasn't on purpose there by the Dallas Stars by Rantanen, but it was pretty ugly. So look for Calgary with Wolf in to be able to get the win here. I like the money line price. I also like them over 2.5 goals. You're going to have to lay juice at -134 and Kadri for the goal. The Rangers and the Sharks. I'm going to look at the Rangers first period puck line, laying 0.5 goal. That's coming in at +142. But then I think it gives us a huge opportunity to jump in at the Sharks. To come back and get the win. The Sharks team is playing with so much confidence. It's great to see right now. So I will take the Sharks when I'm getting better plus money at the price right now. I don't love it. The trends all say under. The trends all say the Rangers. So if you like those trends, stick with them. I'm going against the trends today. I don't like what we've seen out of the Rangers as of late. I think the first period does go over 1.5 goals in both teams' scores, though. So it's a 2-1 first period for the Rangers for me. The Dallas Stars versus the Seattle Kraken. I'm fading the Kraken's ability to score, especially after they scored 6 in the last one. I'll take the Kraken to come back down to earth on the offensive side against Jake Ottinger and the Dallas Stars, who we know their defense can lock down. Give me Seattle's team total under 2.5. So that is the recap for the games. Let's talk about the best players I think there is to look at in these games. Nazem Kadri of the Calgary Flames is my goal scorer here in that matchup. I'd look at Nazem Kadri of the Calgary Flames. When we look at the Red Wings, I want to look at Lucas Raymond for the anytime goal. When we look at Toronto, I want to take Matthews and Marner parlayed for a point. I love them parlayed for the point tonight. When we look at the Ottawa Senators, it's got to be Brady Tkachuk for goal number 30. I don't know why I keep saying 20. He's coming for goal number 30. When I look at the Predators game versus Vegas, Jonathan Marchessault for a point is +100. So we're getting good value for the point. You could look at him for the goal at +280 as well. I think Jonathan Marchessault has every ability to get both done versus his former team. When we look at the Devils game versus the Wild, it's going to be a lower scoring game. So be cautious with what you're looking at there. But I do think Nico Hischier for the Devils will get back on track. He will be able to get his point. If he's getting a point, I think Jasper Bratt's getting one with him. So I would parlay them for their points. Again, for the Avs, it's about the power play points. For the Blues, I'm betting on the Blues for their team total. So I will look at Robert Thomas for goal number 20 and then Jake Neighbors for goal number 20. I love those players coming up against milestones to be able to get them done. Tage Thompson, we cannot deny for the Buffalo Sabres with how strong he has been out there on the ice. If he's getting a point, Rasmus Dahlin, I believe, is getting the point today too. And then Zuckers for goal number 20. It's kind of loading. There's a couple of players in this game. Konecki for goal number 25. Owen Tippett for goal number 20. Those two players there for the Flyers. So play around with that one. Tage Thompson is my number one. And then, you got to look at Braden Point at +200 for the power play point for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And then you could look at Kyle Palmieri. He's been strong versus the Lightning for the Islanders. But that is it, you guys. We stayed under an hour today. I'm going to go in. I'm going to make my cup of joe right now. We're going to talk some madness. So stay tuned for that dropping here on YouTube, on X, in the next couple of minutes. Stay tuned for that. Already got my bets loaded. Just have to talk to myself for another couple of minutes here so that I can talk to you. But you guys, all the best in all of your bets. Tomorrow, noon Eastern, we'll be live for another Pocket with Jo. I promise I will be here tomorrow. We have 8 games on the slate tomorrow. So you guys, thank you so much for being here. Sending all my love to all of you guys too. Appreciate you on the daily. Talk to you soon.